This is Rig Recon Live presented by Safe Fleet. I'm Bruce Quick alongside Jason Witmier, and we'll be your show co host on the podcast here. And if you're watching with us on YouTube, Jason, before we get started into the nitty gritty things about what is Rig Recon and why people should go to Rig Recon and the educational aspect of it, I figured it's probably appropriate to do a little short introduction of both of us. Jason, I'll let you take it away first.
All right. Thanks, Bruce. Jason Whitmire here. I am the Director of Education and Technology at Safely. I've been in the fire service industry as a volunteer firefighter for, about 33 years now, 10 of those years with the rank of Assistant Chief for the Pottsville Fire Department in Pennsylvania. Been working in the apparatus industry since 2002. Throughout that time, I worked for a while for an OEM. So I was doing a lot of design of rigs and putting together what goes into it. And then I've been with the component manufacturer here now for about 7 years. So I got to learn all the ins and outs of what goes into the components that go on the rig.
And then you're the Director of Education and Technology, so break that down a little bit for us so everybody knows what you do here at Safe Fleet.
Sure. So part of the job, the technology part is really the fun part. Both are pretty fun, but the technology part, anything new that comes out, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just getting a new piece of equipment and saying, hey, we're going to start to offer this. There's
Right.
all the little things that go into it. How's it going to fit on the rig? Does the industry need it? Where's it going to fit in? And then once you bring it to market, people need to be trained. They need to learn how to use it. They need to learn how to integrate it into their system. So that's what I do from the technology side. From the education side, it's not just educating our team internally at Safely. It's also educating the industry on product.
Mhm.
And that's what we're really driving at here is not just sales pitch to people, but learning about the product, what goes into it, and really how to compare product A to product B.
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect explanation. And we'll go into myself again. Bruce Quick here, marketing department. Been with Safe Fleet for about 3 years, and that is my time in the fire industry is 3 years. And I came from outside the industry with a lot of experience in the media world and the television world. It was definitely a big transition, but like I tell people, I have one of the greatest jobs because I get to play with fire trucks all day and take pictures of them and do videos. So it doesn't really get any better than that. But I handle all of our social media stuff, a lot of our content creation and websites and our digital ad campaigns. And of course, we're doing this podcast and stuff like that. Now, shifting the focus on to Rig Recon. And if you stumbled upon this podcast or found us on YouTube, you're probably thinking, what the heck is Rig Recon? I've never heard of this. What is it associated with? Why do I need to be watching it? So that's what we're going to break down for you today. So the loaded question, Jason, what is Rig Recon?
Might be easier to start out by saying what isn't Rig Recon?
Good idea.
So a lot of manufacturers, every manufacturer has a website.
Mhm.
And whether it's a simple Facebook page where they share product, or if it's a full-blown website, those websites are guided and designed to sell you a product,
Mhm.
to really let you learn about their specific product and how it works. Where Rig Recon is different is we wanted Rig Recon to be something that would educate the industry on product, not just our Safely product, but product in general.
Mhm.
So we're going to dive into how does our product work versus our competitor's product work, and not so much just specifically the product from the standpoint of here's exactly what it does, here's the spec on it, but more how does it truly work
Right.
instead of the salesman pitch.
So that is what Rig Recon is in a nutshell. In terms of the delivery, I think it comes in a lot of different ways. Whether you're watching this podcast, you're going to have technical videos, how-to videos, product overviews. One thing that I think is exciting that I think we should talk about first is these product guides that we've come up with. We've come up with a handful of them, and I think they're a great overview of kind of what Rig Recon is and what people can get out of it.
Yeah, the product guides are really designed. If there's a concept out there, so let's talk about something like video.
Mhm.
What do I need to know about video? Not what do I need to know about your product in video, but just in general, where would video be used on a rig? When I use it on the rig, what are the kind of things I want to look out for? What are the pros and cons? Where am I going to get tripped up? Something people lose sight of in video all the time. And it's funny to talk about videos. We're being recorded here right now.
Right.
There's different laws for different states that say you have to warn people. Some states say, no, you don't. So the question has always come up on a rig. If I'm recording an incident as I'm going to it, Am I violating anything?
Right.
Those are the type of things we're covering in these product guides.
Mhm.
Is we're taking a subject and we're writing about that subject, what goes into it, what are the pros and cons, what are the things to look out for. A great example of why this isn't necessarily a sales pitch. One of the product guides on the site is specifically about pumps.
Mhm.
We don't sell pumps for safety.
Right. Yep.
We work with them every day. They're on the apparatus. They power a lot of the product we sell. So where we sell nozzles, it takes that fire pump to get the water to that nozzle. So we know a lot about fire pumps. So that paper is giving an opinion on what to look for when you're speccing a fire.
Yep. Exactly. So it's not a sales pitch. It's an opinion. It's an educational overview. If I'm an end user, we'll break it down by segments. If I'm an end user, why do I want to go to rigrecon.com?
I think the main reason that end users going to want to go there is because everything is going to live there.
Mhm.
We're building this up, so it's not done yet. But in the end, when we have all the content up there, and we have a lot up right now, but when we have all the content up there, probably the only place in the industry where you can have a one-stop shop. You can say, I want to learn about every component that goes into a fire truck,
Mhm.
whether it's the foam system, the pump, the doors, the nozzles, the lights. There's so many little pieces. So instead of hunting from what manufacturer to manufacturer and trying to find out and getting more of their opinion on how their product works
Mhm.
instead of how just in general the product works, this is going to give them that ability to find everything in one spot. One of the unique things we really did with Rig Recon, when you see a product and you start to read about it and understand it, we're not just going to tell you what product it is from Safely. We're going to tell you what the competitive products are in the market. So
Right.
you have that easy reference point to say, oh, here's what they're doing and here's what their competitors do.
100%. I do think that provides a personal touch to it, right? Because in today's fire industry, everyone's getting hit up from all different types of angles, and there's a million different ways you could build a fire truck, right? Rig Recon is going to provide a centralized, streamlined way where you can view different products that you're putting on the apparatus. And then, more importantly, the Safely products will have follow up with technical support videos and how to videos and product overview videos. So we covered why an end user would want to go to rigrecon.com. Now let's talk about the manufacturer, the dealership level.
So what happens right now if you go out and something's not working right in your car?
Right.
You can go pay and go to the dealership. Odds are you're going to do a Google search,
Hmm.
and that Google search is going to take you to a YouTube video. You're going to pull that YouTube video up and you're going to go, oh, I want to change my air filter on this year and make and model of a vehicle.
Hmm.
That's exactly what the technical guides on Rig Recon are going to do.
Hmm.
So when I just had a phone call from a customer the other day. They're working on a tank level gauge. They said, we want to change the pattern on it. And we read your manual and we're really having a hard time understanding how to do it. We must be making a mistake in steps.
Right.
Once I walked them through it, they understood it. But as you were reading the manual, it was difficult. I mentioned to them that's a future video that'll be up on Rig Recon. And they said, wow, that'd be great because we can just watch someone do it and follow the steps along with them. That's where this is going to be invaluable to a dealer. To an OEM, I think what's going to really help them is quite often the OEM's trying to digest the customer's. The customer spec may say, I want a deck gun and I wanted to do this GPM and I wanted to have these special features. And the OEM looks and says, okay, I know this one brand does that, but do the other two brands do that? They'll be able to go to this site and get a feel for how all the brands, what the competitive product is that fits into that category for them.
Right. 100%. So I think that paints a perfect picture, right? As we talk about, we love to use the phrase Rig Recon is the one-stop shop, and that's truly what it's going to be for everybody when it comes to your source for apparatus information. Rigrecon.com is broken down into topics, right? Apparatus product topics. And then you have an apparatus trends tab where you can look through product guides, you can look through 3D models. We are going to have a podcast page where you can check out the podcast and so forth, right? So as we talked about, this is going to continue to evolve. This is going to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger. But now let's talk a little bit about Rig Recon Live. So we have the podcast. Why the podcast? We know why we're doing the website, but why the podcast now?
So the podcast is just a good way to connect. And what's going to be cool about the podcast is we've got a bunch of topics lined up.
Mm.
But as we get into them topics, we'll be reaching out to guests. So when we want to talk about a product and maybe we think we know a whole lot about the product, but if we can tie an end user into it, if we can tie an OEM into it and start to give that opinion that says, here's what the guy who made it thinks,
Right.
but here's what the guy who installed it is dealing with. And then from an end user standpoint, here's the guy who's using it. And here's the things he's looking for.
Mm.
This is where the podcasts are really going to take off and give you that angle from all different places to see how something comes together.
It's going to be anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes, give or take less or more. And like Jason mentioned, we're going to be talking about different subjects throughout the fire apparatus industry, throughout the fire industry, not just specific to safely and safely products. So I think it will be really interesting. I know we have some great ones coming up where we're talking about the science of scene lighting. We're talking about foam. We'll have a special guest on there, one of our foam product specialists. And then again, talking about something not necessarily safely related is the pump sizing aspect and pump operations of an apparatus. So I think that'll be really neat. You can find the podcast on YouTube or anywhere that you get your podcasts. Again, you can watch the video portion of it or you can just listen to it as well. So rigrecon.com, we've covered that. Rig Recon Live, Rig Recon itself. We talk about internally here at Safely that where you want everyone to be an ambassador of Rig Recon. So at some point, hopefully in your interactions, you're going to hear one of our guys talk about Rig Recon. Jason, elaborate on that delivery and how we're using our team as ambassadors of Rig Recon.
So one of the cool things that Safely has that's a little unique in the industry, we have several regional managers out in the field. They're out there for a few purposes. They're out there to work with dealers. They're out there to work with OEMs, but they're out there to work with customers as well. So we do a great job from the brass tack side.
Mhm.
Hopefully several of you tuning in have seen Brass Tack's Hard Facts. Great videos. That's what really prompted us to do this and say, we've got it for that. Now let's get it for the apparatus. Those same regionals that are doing Brass Tack's Hard Facts, they're out there doing lighting demos.
Right.
They're out there with all our product. And now they're going to have this tool where they're meeting with a committee and they're saying, here's what goes in the lighting, or here's how it works. And oh, by the way, Rig Recon has a site that shows you the lighting and it shows you what that lighting looks lit up on a football field at night.
Right.
So you have a reference point. Oh, and there's a podcast that talks about lighting. So it really gives them the tools to tie it all together.
I think it's a great overview, a great coverage of what is happening with Rig Recon. We'll make it a little personal here to end things up. We've, you and I and a team of others have worked on Rig Recon since last year. It's been a long process. It's been great. By the time this podcast comes out, the website will be almost a month old. So that'll be really exciting. Throughout this whole process, what has been maybe one, a success story of Rig Recon so far, and two, your favorite thing that you've worked on while trying to relaunch Rig Recon?
It's hard to say one favorite thing. Just we'll give a little insight to our next podcast because I know we want to pitch some of these.
Right.
Lighting is one that's near and dear to our heart. The guys that get all amped up over nozzles and Brass Tack's Hard Facts, I think the apparatus guys probably get fired up about lighting. And what's really cool is we're going to hit home with lighting where it matters.
Mhm.
The lighting industry can be very confusing because there's weird terms, there's big numbers that people throw out. Wow, we're this many lumens and this guy's not. But we're going to show you exactly what it looks like. And that's already up on Rig Recon Live.
Yep.
That was one of my favorite things putting this together, was creating some of those drone footage videos that really and truly give someone a point of reference to see what it looks like when
Right.
it matters on the scene.
I'd have to echo that. I think the big thing, one of my favorite things is that obviously being still someone new here, right? You're always learning stuff about our products and what they do and how they help people, right? But getting to do all these video shoots, we've done 37 new videos since last November, which is insane, right? I'm learning so much about the application of the product. So not only can I now tell you what the product does, but I can tell you why the product does what it does, right? Which I think is a huge thing. And then also some of our service videos. Again, never installed a roll-up door in my entire life, but I could definitely service it now. I could change the lift bar on it or change the tension of the spring. And that's from watching a YouTube video. So I think that kind of shows the true power of what we're trying to do here with Rig Recon, where it really is just that easy, and we're going to provide you the resources to do.
I think one of the big things, Bruce, that we want people to take away here is if you watch this and you're intrigued and you're interested and you go to the site and you say, there's some cool stuff out there, but man, I wish they had this. Please fill out the contact form. We're not going to bug you. We're
Yeah,
not going to call you up and say, you got to go deeper for me. Just throw out a topic and say, hey, there's this one topic that I've been having problems with. My rig does this all the time. And I wish this one product worked a little different. Maybe it does. And you just weren't aware of what it could do.
right.
We'll dive in and that's the kind of stuff we'll add.
Yeah, 100%. So again, if you want to hear us talk about a topic or even cover a topic on rigrecon.com, you can go to the website and fill out the contact form, or you could, if you're watching on YouTube, you could also, or on social media, you could drop us a comment as well, and we'll cover those. So I think that covers everything up. Do you have any closing statements or anything you'd like to throw in before we wrap the first episode up of Rig Recon Live?
No, just you pointed out that you're newer in the industry and I've been in it a long time. So maybe we need to change this to the new guy, old guy. But
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Exactly. So this concludes the first episode of Rig Recon Live, the first of many to be recorded. This is the pilot episode. We break down what is Rig Recon, why you should go there, and how you can look forward to more Rig Recon Live podcasts.